Hello, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the southeast. From war-torn Ukraine to one of the top schools in Sussex, children who fled the conflict tell us of their new life in Brighton.
All of the teachers are so friendly and so helpful, and they are really understanding, and I can talk with them at any time.
The De Melza Hospice in Sittingbourne forced to reduce respite overnight care as it struggles to recruit and train nurses.
Also this Monday, more Subtitle cinemas. The campaign to make going to the movies more inclusive.
And taking dressage to a new level, the stage show produced near Gravesend and the Dancing Horses. Good evening. Young refugees who fled the war in Ukraine have taken up scholarships at one of the most prestigious schools in the country.
The students, the youngest age 5, the oldest 17, are settling into life at Brighton College. The school in Sussex would normally charge around £40,000 a year. Charlotte Wilkins has been to meet the students.
A world away from the horrors they faced in Ukraine, these students are now settling in to Brighton College life. Vlad, Anna, Grisha and Rosti are just some of the 18 young people who have been offered scholarships here. They've spent the last 8 weeks making new friends and getting to grips with a new curriculum.
As much as it's wonderful that they're safe and they're making a new start here with us, which is incredible and such a privilege for us, it's also important to remember that they're still dealing with the reality of the war that's going on there.
The young people have travelled thousands of miles to safety. Some are with their families, others are alone, but they don't feel daunted by starting a new life here and are positive about the future too.
When you see the war, when you see and hear those sounds, coming to another country, to another school, it's not really like scary.
I feel safe here and I don't feel any stress, and it's so exciting to be here in an English-speaking society and studying here in Brighton College. I love it.
All of the staff, all of the teachers are so friendly and so helpful, and they are really understanding, and I can talk with them at any time. And it's really important for me, and I think it's surprising, but it's really, really great.
Rosti, who arrived with his family, considers himself lucky to be here, but he's hopeful the situation in Ukraine will improve.
I hope that it will end very soon as possible, but I just hope for peace.
Maya and Zaria are also working with the younger Ukrainians to help them settle in to the pre-prep school.
I couldn't imagine leaving my country and starting a whole new school, especially being at such a young age. So I just wanted to help out in any way I could.
They're so resilient. They just kind of take everything in their stride, and they really want to learn. They just want to have fun, like they're kids at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Thanks to the determination of their families and the support of the school, the students are out of harm's way with bright futures ahead of them. But they are very aware that others are not so lucky. Charlotte Wilkins, ITV News, Brighton.
Well, the day's news now, and the chief executive of P&O Ferries parent company, DP World, has praised Peter Hebblethwaite's actions in sacking 800 staff. Ahmed bin Sulayem has said the ferry boss's actions saved the company and 3,000 jobs. The move was widely condemned in March, including by the UK government, sparking protests and huge tailbacks of lorries through Kent.
A drug dealer from Liverpool who ran a County Lines chain into Thanet has been jailed for 10 years. Josh Harkins fled to Spain after his gang was targeted by police in July 2020. He eventually handed himself in January and pleaded guilty to supplying heroin and crack cocaine.
Drivers are being warned to expect long delays this week ahead of the Platinum Jubilee. An estimated 19.5 million journeys are predicted for the latter part of this half-term, with roads to the coast particularly affected. It follows queues of more than 4 hours on the way to Dover yesterday, with ferry companies blaming border checks at the port.
Meanwhile, Gatwick Airport says it's resumed normal operations after several technical issues in recent days. Thousands of families had seen their half-term plans disrupted as EasyJet cancelled more than 200 flights to or from the airport. Only 7 flights were cancelled this morning.
A children's hospice in Kent hopes healthcare professionals will consider a future in palliative care as the sector struggles with the nursing shortage.
Demelza Hospice Care for Children in Sittingbourne has reduced some respite overnight care services while it works to recruit and train nurses. Sarah Saunders reports.
6-year-old Dennis has Down syndrome and complex medical needs. He's at Demelza Children's Hospice for an overnight respite break, a valuable breather for his parents. But some of those vital services have had to be cut back as the hospice struggles with the nursing shortage.
It's been really difficult, but we have had to sort of close 2 nights a week for our sort of normal respite short break service. We've been managing to keep open for end of life and sort of step down with the fact of our nurses swapping shifts and sort of working overtime, but obviously the respite service has had an impact.
Presumably it puts a little bit of extra pressure on the nurses that you do have.
Absolutely. I mean, as I say, they are working sometimes overtime, swapping their shifts at last minute, trying to, cancelling things that they've got at home and their own work in their own time. So it is really difficult. We're very lucky that we have managed to do that, but how long can we do that for is difficult.
It's a specialist area and many children's hospices have twice as many nursing shortages as in the wider NHS to provide vital care for children like Ren.
I think we notice that the guys here can't do as much as they would like to because of the lack of staffing. Sometimes it can't happen because the availability isn't there, but when it is there, it's extremely helpful.
The NHS hopes to fill a shortfall of around 40,000 nurses by 2030, but of course that is still 8 years away.
We have to take some action in the meantime. So what we're trying to do here at Demelza is a programme with our workforce strategy to grow our own, if you like. So we'll be training nurses through the nurse apprenticeship scheme and really trying to add to our workforce in that way. We will be here for children who need our services now and in the future, and I wouldn't want families to be concerned about that.
Even as it struggles with recruitment issues, Demelza is working to reach even more families in need of its services. Sarah Saunders, ITV News, Sittingbourne.
Now you're watching ITV News in the Meridian region. Coming up on the programme, lights, camera and subtitles. How cinemas can do more to get the hard of hearing back to the movies.
And a horse show with a difference with reenactments from history and 4-legged dancing.
More on all of our stories, of course, today on our website. itv.com/Meridian is the address. You can call us. The number's on the screen, 0808 1010 095. And, of course, don't forget to follow us on social media.
Now, just a few weeks after they were introduced, there are concerns that new rules to prevent young people feeling pressured into having cosmetic surgery may not be enough.
Adverts promoting various procedures, including Botox or breast enhancements, can no longer be shown around programmes likely to be watched by children.
But one high-profile celebrity campaigner, as well as young people we've spoken to here in our region, worry more still needs to be done to promote healthy body images. With our story, here's James Webster.
There are many things that can't be advertised when children are watching. It started with smoking. More recently, it was sugary and fatty foods. Now, it's a range of cosmetic procedures and products.
We men tend to put things off, especially when it comes to hair loss.
There's nothing wrong with any of the items in these commercials, and they're perfectly legal to show around programmes aimed at adults.
Not sure which teeth whitening product is right for you?
But they can no longer be shown when under 18s might be watching, such as now. That's why we've chosen to blur these pictures. It's because of the impact it can have on young people like these from the 100 of Who Academy in Kent.
If I just want to have like Botox and they want to have like big lips and stuff like that, I think they should wait until they're older to come to that decision and guarantee that they do want to get it.
I think it's because they feel that they're never perfect enough, and they always feel, oh, I could be prettier, I could be more beautiful.
It is a mind thing, and as soon as they see things like that, it's going to weigh down their confidence, their body image, and are they really how they want to look.
Maybe we don't need to be. It was as a teenager that the lead guitarist of the Vamps, James Britton McVeigh, began having issues with his weight, including anorexia and having liposuction on his chest at the age of 20.
I was surrounded by advertisement that portrayed a male body. It epitomised success or being popular or wanted in society. For so many years have we said that being like fit and healthy is having a ripped six-pack and being on a diet. That's not what healthy is. That's an extreme way to live.
I think now looking back, there was a real determination to be accepted or to feel wanted.
Earlier this year, James gave evidence to a parliamentary committee about what effect unrealistic body images can have on young men in particular.
I had to not eat a certain thing, I had to do a certain amount of exercise.
My main objective was to get people in similar situations to me to talk about their personal struggles. And I did get the sense that they genuinely wanted to combat the issues that I'd faced and further the conversation. So I was really, really happy about it, yeah.
James welcomes the work which the Advertising Standards Authority will now be carrying out after this month's change in the rules, which stops certain products and procedures from being promoted when children might be watching. Do the changes go far enough, or rather than just looking at the scheduling of adverts, do we also need to look at the content and what is actually advertised?
We do need to look at the content of advertising, and we're doing that. We have a call for evidence on body image generally, and we'll be looking very carefully at what we learn through that process and trying to think about what we can introduce to help with the content of advertising as well as the scheduling and placement of ads. Yes, absolutely.
I bet these bring back some memories.
Yeah, so this is the only room I'm allowed to hang Vamps memorabilia.
But for James, this month's change is just one step.
I worry how fast kids can access surgery. I don't think that cosmetic surgery should be something that's seen as a quick fix or an answer, especially for young people.
Well, our reporter James Webster is in Westminster. James, these new advertising rules then could just be the start.
Yeah, very much so, Matt. I think you've just got to look at what those young people in my report there from Hoo Peninsula in Kent were saying. Many of them do feel the pressure over how they look, and we also heard James Britton McVeigh from the Vamps in that report giving evidence to the Health and Social Care Committee here in Westminster, and that committee is now gathering more evidence. A survey has been started asking people what effect body image has on their physical and mental well-being. It also asks whether or not they've sought support from the NHS over that, and the committee is inviting more people down here as well to give evidence. Now, one of the MPs on that committee is Laura Trott, who represents Sevenoaks in Kent. She successfully campaigned for the change in the law which led to these new rules for advertising.
The government have taken further steps to say that they want to regulate the sector more widely, and that's a really, really positive thing, because as a consumer, you wouldn't expect something which you can just pop into a shop on the high street or even go into someone's home, have something legally and freely done that could then blind you to have no protections. And that is also why I think these regulations have been welcomed across industry.
So the further work that the committee is doing will be used to work out whether or not more regulation is needed, as James from the Vamps was suggesting. And many people within the cosmetic procedures industry say they would welcome more regulation, according to this consultant plastic surgeon.
This bill was pushing an open door. Protecting under 18 sounds obvious, and there's going to be very little resistance to it from practitioners or from the public. So that was fairly straightforward, really. The bigger question is, how do we extend that to over 18s? Because that's really what's necessary, because that's 99% of the market is over 18s. So who's protecting the over 18-year-olds? So that's the big question, and we urge everyone to push for that protection.
So, James, what happens next?
Well, it will all be about working out whether or not further regulation is needed, be that new laws or new guidance. The UK currently has one of the least regulated cosmetic procedures industries in the world, and a recent survey as well called for perhaps more money to be spent on supporting people with their mental health and also educating young people in schools about body diversity.
OK, James Webster in Westminster for us. Thank you very much indeed.
And the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international news at 6:30 with more Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the programme, the Champions League blame game. French officials say industrial-scale ticket fraud caused the problems in Paris. The government here says French police treatment of Liverpool fans was hugely upsetting and they want an investigation. Also ahead, even budget food is now getting more expensive, so how are families going to cope? And getting ready for a national party, how the country is preparing for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Would you join me for that and more at 6:30?
Now, a year ago, a music festival was getting ready to be one of the first to return after the COVID lockdown, but then the restrictions were extended and the Black Deer Festival had to pack away its stage, losing £1 million in the process.
Yet, 1 year on, and without any government funding to help it stay afloat, the festival is set to run again, as Abigail Bracken will tell us.
It's been 3 years since the Black Deer Music Festival was last held here at the Eridge Park Estate near Tunbridge Wells. The last two cancelled because of COVID. But in 2021 they came close, with contractors on site when Boris Johnson announced restrictions would be extended, dismantling hopes for the festival for yet another year.
To be told it couldn't happen was absolutely heartbreaking. I have to admit I cried. I literally cried. I didn't intend to. I thought I was going to be very stoic, but it was such a shock that we actually had got so far and then only to be told that it couldn't go ahead. So yeah, pretty heartbreaking really.
Black Deer claims to be Europe's largest Americana and country music festival, bringing 15,000 visitors to the oldest enclosed deer park in England. Some ticket holders have been waiting for 3 years for the festival to return here, and of those that had tickets last year, 80% of them have chosen to roll over their tickets and return for this year. As well as headline acts, the festival also gives a stage to local bands like Noble Jacks, whose lead singer is from Tunbridge Wells.
It's amazing, it's a lot of fun. It does so much for the local music scene. Personally, I've played at Hayley's Bar through to the Super Jam stage, and we're now standing in front of where the main stage will be at this year's festival, where we'll be performing. So yeah, very, very excited to be kicking off the festival season here at Black Deer.
So from the 17th of June, he'll be joined by 100 other acts from 7 stages when the Black Deer Festival finally returns. Abigail Bracken, ITV News, Eridge.
Well, let's stay on the entertainment theme because the cinema industry has been criticised for not doing enough for movie fans with hearing loss.
Yes, 1 in 4 cinemas across the UK didn't have a single subtitle screening during Deaf Awareness Week, despite the industry's claim that it would be more inclusive. Catherine Walker has our report.
Maya from Haywards Heath in Sussex relies on subtitles to enjoy her favourite movies. But she tends to watch TV at home, as she says it's more reliable than the cinema.
I think without subtitles it's really difficult to watch films because I can't really understand what's happening, which takes out the whole enjoyable experience of it. And it makes it quite frustrating because, you know, you want to go watch a film to have fun and enjoy yourself. But with no subtitles, you can't really do that.
Watching the latest films in 4K on the big screen is a unique experience. But campaigners say that finding a showing with subtitles can be a cinematic lottery. Research during Deaf Awareness Week at the beginning of May found that 1 in 4 cinemas didn't have a single subtitled screening. Only 3% of subtitled movies were shown during peak times on Friday or Saturday after 6 p.m. And moviegoers wanting to see a specific film had just a 12% chance of watching it at their local cinema.
This is about equality, and there are 12 million deaf people and those who are hard of hearing across the UK. And that's a huge untapped market for the cinema industry to be able to access. Cinemas should be a welcoming place for everybody.
Despite being under the spotlight for a lack of subtitle screenings, the industry told us they are working to improve accessibility.
Within the association, we've invested a lot of time and resources into finding alternative ways of showing captions. But we're hopeful, by the end of this year, a customer who's hard of hearing to be able to access subtitles through a personalised device, meaning that it opens up the world of cinema to them, allowing them to go to essentially any screening that they choose.
But until that's firmly in the picture, manager Becca says her cinema is working hard to cater for everyone.
So all our staff are trained in basic sign language, so we can greet our customers and thank them for coming. We have intros that are signed, and we have the writing of our intro on the screen so everyone can read it.
And it's not just about the subtitles. Jono says cinemas need to raise awareness of the services they do offer.
To encourage more deaf people to come, in terms of providing that access, yes, getting out there, talking to the deaf community, going to the deaf club, going there. It's about working together really within the deaf community, because a lot of people don't know that that's being provided and that they have access. So it's about getting the message out there.
1 in 6 people in the UK live with hearing loss, and movie fans hope cinemas will finally take action to put accessibility front and centre. Catherine Walker, ITV News.
Now, you may have seen the stage play War Horse or the film that followed. Both were massive hits. Well, 10 years on, horses are once again the stars of a new show being tipped for big success.
Well, it's being produced in theatre space near Gravesend, and it's inspired by horses and history and dancing. John Ryle caught up with the cast in rehearsal.
White Horse Farm is cultivating a theatrical first. The cast, 15 horses and riders, and scenes inspired by the history of dressage and the Spanish horse.
We have a passion for Spanish horses here and all things Spanish. So together with some other professional riders, we've put a show together with classical riding, with suits of armour, horseback combat and dancing horses.
Cue Henry VIII and the last of his daughters, Elizabeth I, as a child, and a pas de deux on horseback. Scene 2, a highlight from the story in Shakespeare's time of an English travelling entertainer, William Banks.
In France, he was accused by the Catholics of witchcraft because of his connection, unnatural, they thought, connection with the horse. But when he moved away to Orleans, he was then accused again. But as you saw in the act, the horse leant up and kissed the cross of what would have been the Catholic priest. And he said, "I believe my horse has acquitted me of this crime."
Enter the medieval Spanish warlord El Cid.
Well, what we're reproducing there is a token idea of the legend of El Cid, who fought against the Muslim forces who occupied southern Spain in the 11th century. But actually he fought for both sides, not just the Christians, but he also fought the Muslims. So it's a little bit like a mercenary. And of course he rode Babathia, a very famous Spanish horse.
These are early stage rehearsals for the show, called The Horse of Spain, to be staged here from September through to January next year.
The whole show has come out of the creation of my interest and passion for the history of dressage, from where the work, as you've seen in battle, was the manoeuvring of a horse on the field or in the field, to where now it is a competition or an art. This is going to be the first equestrian theatre in England to produce work that's authentic, that's historical, that's fun, that's musical.
And educational too, with schools showing strong interest in this as a history lesson and a dance lesson guaranteed to hold attention. John Ryle, ITV News, Mepham.
And I think we're going to be seeing lots of horses over the coming week with the Platinum Jubilee celebrations on their way. So, Holly, lots of us are planning things. I've heard rumours that it might be thundery.
There are some thundery showers in the forecast for this week, but the good news is they look like they'll largely be tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, maybe a couple towards the weekend, but I think in general we're talking about an improving picture. So by the time we get to Thursday, not only should it be better than the start of this week, it should also be better than the Queen's coronation back in '53. And I've dug out an old weather map for you to look at, so have a little glance at this. Hopefully you can tell what we're looking at. It's obviously not the clearest because it was drawn so many years ago, but hopefully you can see the UK just in the centre there off to the right. We've got low pressure down towards the continent there, we've got high pressure up towards Iceland, and we've got a chilly northerly flow. So we had quite a breezy wind, we had temperatures that didn't pick up beyond 11.8 degrees, and we had outbreaks of rain through the day, so it wasn't great. And then I was looking at the Diamond Jubilee, I don't know how well you remember that, back in 2012, and that was also chilly, and it was also cold, so we haven't had much luck so far.
Because you'd think in June, you'd kind of be all right.
You know, you would think that, wouldn't you? June the 2nd, you'd be thinking we should get some sunshine, it should feel quite warm. But I dug out something just for you today, Matt, about when I was looking at all the June the 2nd stats. Back in 1975, on June the 2nd.
Year I was born.
Was it?
It was, yeah.
Oh, well, you're going to love this even more.
I will.
There was a county cricket match between Essex and Kent, played in Colchester, that was abandoned due to snow.
No.
Snow in June. Snow in June. So, yes, you might get some chilly weather. Yes, you might get some rainy weather. Yes, you might get some thundery showers. At least it's not snowing in June. Come on.
Well, I'm just worried. I mean, I haven't been able to get any bunting yet, but when I do put it up, I want it to stay that way.
Don't worry, I'm promising no snow. Maybe a few showers, but absolutely 100% no snow.
You heard that here. Let's get the full forecast. Here's Holly again.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
We've got some heavy showers in the forecast into the next couple of days, potentially thundery, maybe a bit of hail in the mix as well. But generally speaking, as the week goes on, it should get drier and it should get a little bit warmer as well. Not entirely plain sailing, there is a chance of some perhaps lively showers at times into the weekend, but I think on balance, it is an improving picture. So if we take a look at the bigger picture, low pressure then dominating the scene, really churning up the atmosphere, generating these heavy showers, but increasingly higher pressure tries to build in, settling things down. As I say, the risk maybe of some heavy showers perhaps on Saturday, for example. Still a lot of uncertainty though at this stage, and we may well avoid them altogether. Out there at the moment though, we could catch some quite lively downpours at times as we head into the night tonight. Away from the showers, some clear spells, and actually a bit of a chilly one for the time of year too. These are typical values for towns and cities, but out in the countryside we could get a few degrees lower, and I couldn't rule out the odd spot, perhaps even getting a touch of grass frost, which is obviously quite late in the year for that. Into tomorrow then, showers from the word go. We get a bit of heating taking place, and more of those develop more vigorously too. So the chance of thunder, lightning, hail, a bit gusty in and around these showers as well. Sunny spells away from them, but the showers are never too far away. Temperatures a little bit higher than today, but still only sort of 15, 16 degrees, maybe locally a little bit more than that, but obviously not great for this time of year. Our high tide times have got Dover there at midnight 15 and again at 12:39 into the afternoon. And here's the outlook. So I think there's still some heavy showers around on Wednesday, but they do tend to ease off. As I say, they can't be ruled out entirely, but overall, some drier, brighter and warmer weather.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
The showers in the coming days helping to wash some of the pollen out, so looking at moderate levels for Tuesday and Wednesday, but with dry conditions by Thursday, picking up to high once again. Have a good evening.
And in just a moment, the ITV Evening News here with Mary Nightingale.
That is it from us for the time being, though. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.